fact, when I first started in broadcasting many, many years ago, the first years, a news story, could be 2 minutes and 30 seconds. By the time I finished in broadcasting in 2001, a long news story was 1 minute and 15 seconds. They wanted you to get it done. They want you, a sound bite used to be 35 seconds. They want a sound bite in 10 seconds. You try to stay focused. You want to do good. There's a call within you that says, get the work done. Do the chores, clean up the house, get the garden done. Do your next indicated right action. But for me, escape is like a lovely idea. And now, my favorite escape, I enjoy, Johanna gets the best videos on Facebook. I often wonder what the algorithm she has on her Facebook page that's so much better than my Facebook page algorithm, because she gets these awesome videos, and I just get like cats. You know, she gets these inspirational things, and these people that are singing in what is that show? Come on, what is the show? I don't know, the one where they do the star thing and they hit the gold one and everybody gets all excited. American, all of those. But the other day I was going to escape. I needed an escape. I was working on the talk and I didn't want to do it. So I said, okay, I'll just look at some YouTube videos. Well, YouTube, man, now you can't even my attention span can't outlast you. Can't handle YouTube, because every 22 seconds they put another commercial on. Talk about net neutrality going out the window fast. They're on it. They want you to buy the YouTube Red or something. Is that what it's called? YouTube Red, so you don't have commercials anymore? Netflix, YouTube, Hulu, Amazon. And then you got the regular Spectrum or Time Warner or whatever like that. Man, it's like $500 just to watch something nowadays. That's crazy. There are a lot of distractions out there. There are a lot of distractions. So, since YouTube wasn't working, I picked up Dr. King's book, Strength to Love. That's always a good distraction for me, because it's like an awesome book. And in it, one of these quotes popped out to me. This thing, he says, the agonizing gulf between the ought and the is represents the tragic theme of man's earthly pilgrimage. Back to the shiny things. We get to the shiny things. And sometimes we know, particularly here in Science of Mind, we know the principles. We know that God is all there is. We know that the operation of love is the feeling of love, outpictured through the operation of the law. We totally understand the conscious ability to change our conditions by focusing on what we want, right? That's the ought. But the is life sometimes is pretty screwy. And we look around and go, this is not actually what I bargained for. And if you think about the tragic theme of man's earthly pilgrimage, I was like, what is he talking about there? But then it hit me. I was again watching the news. Here we talk about peace. And how do we go about getting peace? Building more nuclear bombs. Here we have the technology to feed the entire planet. But what do? We engineer food, we sell patents for seeds so that some people can eat and some people can't. We all do it. We shop for the best bargains, but it's really a form of economic slavery, because some people are working for pennies on the dollar to make something that we buy for dollars on the dollar over and over again. We have this ought. We know what ought to be done, but we live in this is world that is really, it can be kind of pessimistic. It can turn you into a pessimist. But I want to tell you, the shiny side story is stay optimistic. Stay optimistic. I get this. I know this is true because my favorite philosopher of all times told me it's true. He said, or she said, it said, you'll never get eye strain from looking at the bright side of things. Anonymous. Most awesome philosopher on the planet. You'll never get eye strain from looking at the bright side of things. And in fact, from a Science of Mind perspective, the only way to get the best life we want is to look at the bright side of things. And I'm not saying we don't look at what's on the other side. In fact, we kind of have to. Let's talk about the opposite side of the shiny side, the greasy side, the underside, the underbelly. I think about when I'm looking at my bike, for example. It's so fun, like I said, to do the chrome and to clean the chrome and get it all shiny and stuff. But if I wanted to run really, really well, if I want it to run really, really well, I will get underneath it and I'll clean the undercarriage. I'll change the oil. I'll clean the tires. I'll give some extra attention to the belts and to the cables. I'll get to that stuff that I don't see every day. And you know what that stuff is that we don't see every day from a science of mind perspective, from a metaphysical perspective? It's our hidden beliefs. See, as we go along through life, we pick up grime and grit and all kinds of stuff, the perspective of the world, and it starts to layer over us like the grease at the bottom of the bike. And suddenly it begins to put some drag on your life. But if you want to get rid of the drag, you pay attention to those underbelly, undersides, that hidden belief stuff, and you do some work on it, and you figure out, what is that all about? And why do I believe that? And is that really true? And is that really leading to a better life for me? Maybe it's not. What could lead to a better life? The shiny side, the bright side, looking up, seeing something better, changing our perspective from the grime. Because you see, back to the science of mind, this out of the textbook, and this is an important one out of the textbook, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. First, let me read it for you. It says, all conditions which appear to be opposing are not really a result of the operation of opposing powers, but are the way the one power is used. Now, in the science of mind textbook, it's a textbook. That's why I call it a textbook, because it's to teach you stuff. And what I've noticed is, occasionally, Dr. Holmes will put everything in caps or in bold prints or in italics. If it's in italics, that's important. But if it's in bold print, step on it, look at it. And that's what he's saying right here. You know, it seems like these powers are opposing, but there's really only one power operating. There's only one power driving my motorcycle, and that's the engine. And the stuff that's on the underside, that dirty side, if I'm not applying the clarity of life to it, it's going to add some drag. If I'm not applying the clarity of life to my belief systems and seeing what it is, because that's what leads our lives. As Betsy likes to say, it's the BS. It's the belief system. So if that's not what I'm looking at, if I'm not looking at that, then I just need to understand that I'm not using the power of the universe effectively. I'm not using it in the way that's going to apply the best operation to my life. There's a guy named Khalees Sweeney. He's in Detroit. Now, Detroit is a city that definitely has sometimes been associated with the grimy side of life. It's got some troubles. I mean, one of the things that just bothers me about Detroit, I went to high school in Detroit. I grew up in Detroit. One of the things that bothers me about it is it's in the middle of a food island. They don't have one major grocery store in the city of Detroit right now. Not a Kroger's, not a Safeway, not a Ralph's. It's all mom and pop grocery stores. So you know the prices for food are outrageous, because that's how that works in those smaller stores, because their margin is so small. So here's a guy in a town like that, and he sees all these kids that are just kind of hanging out on the street that don't have work, you know, and he's thinking, what can I do to help these kids out? He was a boxer. He started a boxing clinic, the downtown boxing clinic, and he's got 100 kids that are going to that clinic. It's been going on for several years now. 100 kids a day go into that clinic. Since he's began, he's gotten 260 kids to go through the program. All 260 of them since he began that program have graduated from high school. And 98% of them have gone on to college. This is how he has taken this power that seems to be, that can work in two different directions, and has worked it in the direction of good. This is the ability that we have. We must know. Like that farmer in the horse story, who knows what's good or bad? We know by changing our perspective. You know the farmer story, right? The horse. Everybody know that? Come on, the horse, the farmer, and the son. Really? Really? So, okay, so the farmer, he's got, okay. Story time, boys and girls. So there's this farmer, and he's got a horse in the corral that he uses to plow his fields. And one day the horse gets out, and the neighbor comes over and he goes, "Oh my God, your horse has escaped. It's time to plow. What are you going to do? This is terrible." And the farmer says, "Who knows what's good or bad?" The next day, the horse gets hungry. He knows where food is. He comes home to his corral. Just so happens he's been hanging out with 12 wild horses, and they go, "Where's he going? Let's go with him." So the farmer comes out the next morning. There's 13 horses in his corral. Wow. The neighbor comes over and goes, "Wow, you got 13 horses. Whoa, that's awesome." He goes, Who knows what's good or bad? A couple days later, his son decides who let the horse out by leaving the corral open in the first place, so he's feeling a little bad. He decides, ooh, this is a beautiful gray mare. I think I'm going to learn how to ride that horse. I'm going to break this horse. Well, he gets on the horse's back, and the horse throws him off and breaks his leg instead. Now, remember, it's plowing time, so the farmer's neighbor comes over. Oh, my God, your son has broken his leg. That's so terrible. The farmer says, what? Who knows what's good or bad? 2 days later, the king's army comes into town. They're looking for draftees for a war in a far-off land, and they're clearly not going to come back. They're going to lose this thing. Well, what's happened? The son has broken his leg. He can't go. Who knows what's good or bad? In the end, we decide. We know what's good or bad, and the reason we know is because we can always focus our attention on the light. We can always focus our attention on the bright side. No matter the condition. Remember, the condition has stopped growing, but we haven't stopped growing. We can continue to move forward and bring a better experience of life for us every day. Khalid Sweeney thought, man, this is a bummer living in Detroit. Wait a minute. No, it's not. There's opportunity here. These young men give me opportunity. Let me give them opportunity. His boxing clinic grew. These kids are now going to college. This young girl, her life, she felt like it was over. But something inside of her, that light could not be obliterated, even though it had been obscured. She let that light shine, and now old people, young people are walking in San Antonio because of her foundation. This is how this works when we turn our attention away from the condition and turn toward the light. Same thing back toward the light. You know, back to motorcycles for a minute. This is the Zen of motorcycle riding by Steve. So you ride along on your motorcycle, and there's a pothole on the road. How do you miss the pothole? How do you make sure you go around it? No, that's a good one. That's a Life in 4 Chapters. I love that one. There are 5 chapters. That's a great one. Walk down a different street. That's a great idea. How do I get in this hole? Climb out. Yep, that shiny thing. Sorry. Back. No. You look where the road is clear. You don't focus on the pothole. If you focus on the pothole, you will hit it. So you look at where the road is smooth. That's a science of mind prospect right there. That's a science of mind teaching. Don't look at the problem. Look at the solution. The solution is the shiny side. The solution is with spirit, you see. That's how you'll miss the rock. We got to get out of our own way. Emerson told us that. Where is he? Emerson, say it for me. Get your bloated nothingness out of the way of the divine circuit. Thank you, sir. I agree. Emerson said that. That's right.
Law office on the back wall.
Yes, the law office on the back wall. Emerson, Hopkins, and Holmes, Esquire. Emerson is in the house. Turning toward the light brings us such opportunity. Dr. Holmes says, I love this one. Here's a good one. He says, when we stand in the light, we cast a shadow across the pathway of our own experience. When we stand in the light, we cast a shadow across the pathway of our own experience. Wow. So I'm now catching the light. I'm catching the divine flow. I'm feeling some energy that's telling me that there's something wonderful happening for me, and it's not back there. See, I'm casting a shadow over that. Now, I'm not to ignore it. It's not to ignore it, because you can see the shadow. The shadow is something you can see, but it's not what you're going to focus on. You're going to focus on the light. But what I can do, though, is I can learn from my shadow. I can learn from my past. I can choose anew and not ignore it, but take the lesson from it and choose anew while I'm standing in that bright light, because principle is not dependent upon precedent. The things that have happened before do not have to happen again. Remember, we are growing. Whatever the condition is, we get to change that. We get to move beyond that by turning toward the light and staying toward the bright side. Because I tell you what, life is such a grand adventure. It's such a grand adventure that we've all been placed here to live it. And the wonderful thing is, there's no other way to experience all that is unless we're alive. So why waste the time worrying about problems and stuff? Yeah, we got them. They come up. The challenges do arise, and when the challenges arise, that's a wonderful opportunity to stand in the light, learn the lesson from it, and move forward and continue to grow. You see? And looking back doesn't work that well anyway. Memory is not 20/20. Hindsight is not 20/20 because your memory is faulty. It's not telling you exactly how it happens. It's telling you how you feel about how it happens, and it's telling you how you feel about how it happens based on what you're feeling right now, not even what was going on then. You can't really pull that back. And then if you're thinking about the future, that's really only a glimpse at the possibilities can take place. Everything that's really happening, the true reality of life, is happening right here, right now, in this moment. In this moment. So let's have fun with it. Let's stand in the bright light of this moment and let our light shine. That's the journey today. Dr. Holmes says, we should press boldly forward, looking ever for the truth, ever ascending higher and higher into the heaven of reality. The heaven is taking place in our consciousness. That's really where we have that. It also will be hell. But we're talking about looking toward the shiny side, not the hellacious side, the joyful side, the possibility side. In fact, the idea of impossible, that's just a lie. You know, whatever you think is impossible is only a limitation based on how you're thinking at that moment. Stand back into the light and allow something brighter to come into your future, and you will live in a reality where you get to keep the shiny side up. And so it is. So, here we are. Affirmation time. While you're saying it, let's just do it. And the other thing is, remember now, see, here's all, head held high. That's going into the consciousness of the divine. Head held high, into the upper room, where source is your all in all. And vision on the horizon. That's another writing term. If you want to see really well and not get like this the whole time you're writing, you focus your eyes on the horizon. You don't want to have to keep doing course corrections all along. They're going to take place anyway as you stay focused on what's happening out there. You'll automatically go where you need to go, right? And where you need to go is illuminated by the light of spirit. That's where that breaks it down for you. Are you ready for the affirmation? Here we go. Head held high. Vision on the horizon. I am guided by the illuminating light of spirit into a now moment filled with good. Yes. Mm-hmm. Welcome back, y'all.
Thank you.
Soul Purpose Band. All right, let's do a prayer.
Just saying.
I got you.
This is the light, shiny side up.
This is the shiny side up.
Yeah.
I release and let go. The message is given to me right here and there. Wow.
There was money, and there's still there. Yeah.
There's money in here. We're going to pray for somebody who's asking for prosperity. That's a great way to do prosperity, by the way. Give and you shall receive. Mm-hmm. Glad you did, yeah. Yeah. Okay. So as we get ready to do our prayer, I just wanted to bring everybody into the room together with this. And I know that there's stuff going on in everybody's life. I mean, let's turn what seems to be on the underside of the bike and get back to the shiny side. So if you know somebody that needs to move their consciousness into the bright side, move their consciousness into the shiny side, share that name into the room, if you will, because the voice is creative and the energy that goes behind that and the intention behind that is even more creative. So if you feel so called, add a person to the room or to a condition to the room that we will then all together pray for in single consciousness. Patty, Joe, Patricia. This is what I know. There is one life. That life pictures as love. It operates as law. It's available to each and every one of us because we are of that. So it is in this moment of shared consciousness that we bring the collective minds of each and every individualized expression of God in this space together, along with all those that we have brought into our consciousness through our will and our decision to set an intention for their good to unfold. We bring all of those entities into this moment and collapse it down to this time right here and right now. And as we do that, we know that we do it in union. And in that union, there is such a sweetness, a love divine, a time sublime. So stepping forth from this moment, we speak this truth for each and every person in this room, each and every idea that has been held in the mind of the individualized expressions of God that are gathered here at this time in this place, to know that right action is unfolding for all that we care for, that we are all divinely guided into our highest expression of good, that there is nothing standing in the way of the unfoldment of Spirit's highest idea for each and every person. For we know that there is an urge within all of us that is making its way made manifest by the actions that we take in the world today. And so I know that we are impelled to move forward with those actions, that we are charged with the energy and the power as God's representative on earth to make manifest the heaven in the now. That heaven shows up as right employment. That heaven shows up as full health. That heaven shows up as prosperity and abundance, as enough and more. Nothing stands in the way of this charge, this impulse, this movement of spiritual beings bringing good into the world. I know the Center for Spiritual Living Simi Valley is a powerful force for good, for change, for upliftment and enhancement of life. I'm so grateful to share this truth with each and every one of you, for each and every one of you, as each and every one of you, as we bring this idea with much gratitude into a coalesced release of power into that ever-giving law that always says yes. And so it is. Amen.